people who are always really cool, they don't think, how do I maximize this? They never think about it, right? All the guys that were cool in elementary school, high school, they're not like, how do I maximize my style? They're not thinking about that at all. So I was like, what was the turning point for Aaron Marino? Something must have, gone on when he was younger where he became like the butterfly out of the cocoon. I'm fine with casual. Look, man, this is my hair after waking up. I knew that I couldn't even compete with the Aaron Marino hair, so I didn't even try.
All right, let's roll. All right. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Alpha M podcast. Today I've got a podcast veteran. He's so much more than that, though. I got to know Jordan Harbinger years ago through another business that you had. I mean, we go way back. I mean, how many years?
Way back.
I've known you like when I was first, getting started. You had me on talking about like style back in the day, and you had me on a few more times, and then you're like, "Yo, this guy is worthless." Your guests that you have on this podcast now are literally the who's who of super interesting, successful people. All right, let me back up a little bit.
Thank you.
You're an incredibly successful podcaster, and the thing that I am so inspired by is that you had something else going on. It didn't go so well. You had to end your situation, and you literally started from zero after being, very successful. And and I say zero. I mean, you were starting over, I should say. And you quickly figured it out, and not only figured it out, you were thriving as a podcaster, as a businessman. You have such an interesting story. You're a super smart guy. And you've been kidnapped twice, which I think is amazing. You survived it because you have incredible people skills and you're a really good communicator. The guests that you have on your podcast are literally just, like I said, the top of the top. I mean, you had Kobe Bryant. You had, recently you had Russell Brand on, or what is his name? Russell Brand?
Russell Brand, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway.
I always do that too. I say, is it Brandt or Brand? And it's Brand. Yeah.
Okay.
Like cereal
and then,
brand.
So, I mean, you have like just amazing people, amazing guests. Your interview style and technique is incredible. And so today I'm just happy that you're here talking to me, and I'm definitely not up to the par snuff of a lot of your other guests, but I appreciate you being here and hanging with me for a little bit, Jordan. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, it's good to see you. Look, I like having conversations of all kinds. Like you said, I've had Kobe Bryant and Russell Brand, but I recently, a couple weeks ago, I had a guy on who was in prison for a while for stealing $18 million worth of diamonds. So it runs the gamut, like you're a force in your own right. You were on Shark Tank, twice now? Or yeah, maybe man. 3 times? I don't know.
Not twice. They wouldn't have me back a third time. I tried to get on though a third time.
Oh, you did?
With my skincare company. Yeah. I sent them an email. I'm like, hey, this is what we need. And they're like, yeah, what's the story? What's the hook that you're coming back? And so I had my 2 business partners send in like a tape, and it was so cringy and bad. They ended up passing on us, but that's all right. So something else, I want to talk real quick about the mission of your podcast. You say, I believe it's something like, your mission is to become a more informed, better, critical thinker.
Yes.
Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, it is, man.
Explain that. What the hell does that mean? Already that went over my head.
Yeah, what I want to do is educate people to become better informed, more critical thinkers. And the reason for that is, look at the division we have in the country. Look at the way that people get caught up in scams or do like multi-level marketing stuff or buy gurus. You're on YouTube. You've seen those guru ads that are like, they're basically like these 1980s real estate guy ads, except for they're modern. Some 18-year-old kid.
It's worse than that now. It's
worse.
It is horrible.
It's like, I'm 18 years old. I read 17 books a week. I have 3 Lamborghinis, and I decided to book a flight to LA this weekend with my 7 girlfriends. You know why? Forex trading. Give me all your money. And people are like, here you go. And I'm like, what is happening? And, you think like, what idiots fall for this? And the answer is a lot of people. And I'll get an email from like a 40-year-old guy who's like, I fell for this scam. And I look at it and go, how did you fall for this? And it's a lack of critical thinking. Yes, it's magical thinking and wishful thinking and all that, but it's a lack of critical thinking. And that comes down to our politics, it comes down to business. It affects every area of your life. And you see people dropping out of school to do a business, and I'm cool with that if that's what needs to happen. You know, by the way, you went to college and graduated, or did you not bother with that?
No,
you did.
I did.
So now people are dropping out, and I got nothing against that. If you're running a Aaron Marino style, if you're running Alpha M, or Alpha N, I guess, or OPQ, you got to drop out and scale it. I get it. But now you get people dropping out because they're like, I'm just going to trade Bitcoin online. And I'm like, do you even know how to look at anything? Do you even know how to buy Bitcoin? You know, there's all this happening that is the result of a lack of critical thinking, and it affects every area of our life. And I found that a lot of these online influencers, they'll be like, I'm going to be right wing, or I'm going to be left wing. And when you tell people what to do, you're only going to get this sliver of people. It might be a giant sliver of people that already agree with you or that want to agree with you. But if you teach people how to think better, then you can teach people how to make their own decisions. And that makes, not to get all too pie in the sky about it, but it makes our democracy stronger. It makes our country stronger. It makes for better consumers. It makes for people who are better in the workplace. It makes for better wives, husbands, things like that. So the mission is wider than just being like the Democrats or like, Trump, you know, like if you don't do that and you teach people critical thinking, they will come to more or less rational conclusions. Even if we disagree, at least they have rationale behind what they are doing, what they're voting for, what kind of businesses they're starting. And also you find that if you make people think well and have good mental models and are creative and things like that, they don't resort to scams because they don't need to. They can run a successful business because they've built confidence. They have the ability to create something that's meaningful. And I'm sure you've seen this before too, like being in the online space, especially with these young guys, and it's not just guys, but a lot of young guys, they want to be like you, right? They want to do the Manscaped or the videos, or they want to do the hair videos or the suit videos, or just the stuff that you do that's fun and looks cool. And they know it's a long road, but they don't have the confidence that they're going to last through to get to success. So they resort to scams and easy crap shortcuts that just end up being like a net negative for them and a negative for everyone involved. And I'm like, you know, the way to solve this is not to be like, don't scam people. The way to solve this is to give people tools that they can use to become smarter, better, more critical thinkers, whatever it is, sort of see the matrix. Then they can run a successful business. Then they can be a good father to kids. You know, so this sort of has a ripple effect that goes throughout generations. And then also I like a good story. You know, I'll have a mafia enforcer on or a jewel thief. I don't know how much he's like helping us become a better critical thinker, but I'm like, here's some entertainment, right? You got to throw a little bit of, got to put marshmallows in the Lucky Charms here and there.
So what's your superpower? If you had one, I know that, you know, what would you consider to be like that thing that you've got that sets you apart and has made you and built you into the success that you are?
Yeah, good question. I think it evolves. You know, before it was, I've got good communication skills. And now I wonder if that's still the case. I mean, I'd like to think I still have good communication skills, but is that the superpower? I'm not sure. I think I'm skeptical and I think about things that I read, and I read a lot, but I'm not cynical, right? And you see the difference there's a lot of people online or in the news, and they might be really smart, but they might be really cynical and negative. I'm still young enough and optimistic enough. I'm 40 now, but you know, I'm not getting any younger, but I am getting more optimistic. And I see that there is a big difference between taking something at face value and then versus just looking at something and going, everything is garbage, everything is in the shitter. And you see older folks that are like, this country's going to hell in a handbasket, or like, all these guys are scammers. I try and look at everything with a critical eye, but not criticize everything. And I think that can become a superpower. It's very hard to do.
Yeah, it's really hard to do.
It requires you to actually constantly be swimming upstream, because it's really easy to look at news media and go, wow, everything's a scam. My vote doesn't count. That was something we heard last month, right? My vote doesn't count. Why bother? And you hear that because people feel like they have no power. And now I'm like, wait a minute. If, you know, the real power that we have is the ability to think freely. And a lot of people are kind of willfully surrendering that by saying, all the news is fake, I'm just going to play Xbox. Not that there's anything wrong with Xbox, but you don't want to sort of surrender your critical thinking skills or your, you know, surrender your brain cells just because you think there's no good information out there. It's sort of this weird paradox now where guys like you and I are creating information, but it's in a sea of crap, you know, on YouTube, or in my case, in podcasting, it's in a sea of crap. So you get people that go, this is all junk. And it's like, no, you really do have to keep doing the work to find good sources of information with people you trust. You know, if I'm looking at buying a shaver or some clothes, I will Google like Aaron Marino leather jacket recommendation. And sometimes something comes up and sometimes something doesn't. But I know that you're not going to go, here's a leather jacket that I get paid a lot to sell and I've never actually worn it and it's probably a piece of crap. I know that you probably either have it, and if it was bad, you wouldn't have included it in the roundup. And I try to do the same thing with books, documentaries. It's like, look, trust is the only thing that we have right now. It's the top currency. So I don't do anything to mess with it. And I do everything I can to build it. And if we can do that for our audiences, then I think we're doing them a huge service, you know, over time, especially.
Yeah. You just mentioned one of my my favorite things is documentaries. What good documentary have you watched recently?
Recently, I saw something that is just out this month. This is maybe too nerdy, but whatever. I'm going to do it anyway. It's documentaries. They can't be too nerdy. So, so you know about the dictator of North Korea, right? Kim Jong-un. You've heard of that guy?
Yep.
Okay. So he had a brother, and the brother was murdered in an airport in Malaysia like 2 years ago. I don't know if you heard about this, but these two women went up to him and they sprayed him in the face with something, and then they rubbed it in his face as a prank, and then they ran away. Well, he died of sarin nerve poisoning, and that was what they had sprayed on his face. So they thought, oh my gosh, it's an assassination. And they arrested these girls. One was from, I think, Malaysia. The other one was from Vietnam. Turns out North Korean intelligence agencies had tricked them into making all these like really lame prank videos where they would go and rub water on people's faces or sticky lotion on people's faces as a surprise prank. Well, they were doing it to dozens of people, and then they said, go do it to that guy over there, except for the lotion they gave them was this like super deadly nerve agent. So they accidentally, or inadvertently, I should say, assassinated Kim Jong-un's brother, and who he had killed probably because he didn't want him to be a challenge to power. And they talk about like how they planned it, who these girls are, how they got recruited, what happened to them, you know, did they know, did they not know? And they go through all the evidence, and it was pretty damn fascinating because this is a political assassination in public done by people that didn't know what was going on. I mean, that's some 007 type of, or almost like inverse 007, right? They had no idea what they were doing and they were totally incompetent.
Speaking of not knowing what you're doing, you were an attorney, right? This is how you got started. Okay,
that's right.
So tell what is the Jordan evolution? You started as a Wall Street attorney. You speak 5 languages. You've been kidnapped twice. Tell us a little bit about your story. And this was all prior to the other business that you started, correct?
It was, yeah. So I was a Wall Street attorney.
So you're 40 years old. I think
years.
that's something that I think a lot of people are a little bit shocked of. You look very young, and
Right,
so
thanks.
you know the fact that you know, and myself and we're very similar in age. The fact is though that before the internet, we had, both of us had lives and careers and businesses and
yeah.
and you know, a life. And so
What did you do before the internet?
Exactly. What, me?
Yeah, what did you do? I don't even know.
I had a failing fitness center.
Oh, you did? I could
Yeah.
see you being a fitness guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
That was my only dream. But yeah, so tell a little bit about your story and your evolution into the online space.
When I went to law school, I thought, okay, great. You know, I can work harder than a lot of these people, because in high school, I didn't do that hard of work, right? Nobody did, right? It was kind of like show up to the geometry test, figure out what it was going to be on the test 15 minutes beforehand, do the test, get a B or a B plus, no problem. But then when I got to college, everybody was smart. Same thing with law school. So I realized, all right, I got to limit my drinking to 3 nights a week from 7 or whatever everyone was doing, and, you know, make sure that I'm studying and doing the work. So I outworked everyone. But when I got to Wall Street, everyone was very smart and everybody was a hard worker. So I realized my competitive advantage was gone. And after talking with some of the partners, I found that the biggest strength that people were lacking as they got older and moved towards partner in the law firm was they were bad at networking and bringing in business. And so I thought to myself, okay, if I can learn to bring in business by networking, then I will have a better shot at partner / not get fired. Like I was just at the time, candidly, just trying not to get fired.
Yeah.
So I started to learn networking, and I took these classes like Dale Carnegie networking classes, and it was pretty bad. I like Dale Carnegie, but not necessarily this particular course. You know, and it was like, learn their kids' names and that they play tennis and look them in the eye and have a firm handshake. And I thought, if I'm not getting $1 million law deal from Goldman Sachs for my law firm, is it really because I didn't look them in the eye and have a firm handshake? Or is that just like 0.1% of how you make a connection in a relationship? So I started learning about trust, persuasion, influence, body language, and I started studying things that like friends of mine who went to the work at the CIA were learning about body language and rapport generation and building connections overseas and things like that. And I was like, this is the real stuff. So I started learning all of that. And as I started learning that, I started teaching it to other students in law school. And then they had me teach this course. Nobody cared about networking. Like 5 women showed up. And I thought, okay, well, if it's just going to be me and these 5 women, I'm not going to sit in this hot room and teach this class. I'm going to hold it at a bar and we'll go and get drinks. So I started to hold this networking class at the bar, and we would break down people's body language. And eventually the women would say, well, what about that couple over there? Like, can you read them? And I'd say, oh, they're not on a date. You know, this guy likes her, but she doesn't like him. And here's how I know. And they would be like, this is fascinating. So all these women started bringing more and more of their female friends to the class I was holding at the bar. And then guys started to notice, right? They were like, why you got all these women here?
Yeah, who's this dude with all these women around?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm teaching networking. They're like, yeah, cool, whatever. I want in. So they started to show up, and I was recording my talks and burning them to CD. And we would talk more about dating than about networking. And I'd give the CDs to the guys and I'd go, okay, you're new. There's 3 hours of stuff on here from the last 3 sessions. Go listen to this and come back and you'll be caught up. Well, they'd come back and go, hey, can I get another CD? Why? What happened to the other one? Oh, I gave it to my roommate. He's really into it. Okay. So I started doing that. And then I started charging like $5 for the CDs. And then I started charging like $20 for the CDs. And guys would come in and go, I need 8. What? Yeah, my cousin, my brother, my younger brother, my old college roommate, my current roommate, my buddy. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to get rich selling $20 CDs where I'm talking about dating. But what I can do is teach this as a course. And I started taking students in. And that became my original show and my original business. I started teaching guys, and well, men and women, but mostly guys, how to meet women. And it got really, really, really popular because it wasn't the sort of douchey pickup artisty stuff that was going on back then.
Did you wear a fedora?
I didn't wear a fedora or any of that. Maybe once or twice, but not as a habit. Not as a habit, okay? Only occasionally. It was the early aughts. Don't give me too much grief about that. We don't talk about the fedora. So I decided that this was really a lot of fun, obviously, but I still wanted to be a Wall Street attorney. So I moved to New York. I end up getting on Sirius XM satellite radio, and I start doing my show on Sirius XM satellite radio. So I've got my radio show, my Wall Street job, and my radio show was in the evening drive on Fridays, right? So on Fridays, I'd be like, hey guys, gotta take a quick break.
What year was this?
2007. Okay. And so I go, hey guys, I got to take a quick break. And my office mates and the guys that I worked with a lot would be like, he's going to go do his radio show. So I'd run down up to Times Square from Wall Street. And then I'd come back down after my show and they'd be like, yeah, we're just waiting for a fax. We just ordered dinner. Do you want anything? You know, it's like 9 p.m. at night. We're waiting for some investment banker to send over a fax. And then eventually we started to run out of work to do because the economy started to crash. The mortgage crisis hit and we were all in real estate finance. So we'd be sitting there killing time and they'd go, let's listen to Jordan's show. And then a partner found out that I was doing my show at night. And I thought, now I'm definitely getting fired. Well, they didn't care. They thought it was hilarious. Thank goodness for Wall Street and them being pretty lax at that time. So I kept doing my job and I kept doing the show on Sirius XM and I kept doing the podcast. And I grew the podcast with some of the radio audience. I grew the radio audience with some of the podcast. And we really started to just kill it. And we started a coaching business and that started to take off. So as my law job started to crawl to a zero, our coaching business started to really take off. And that's probably around when you and I started to chat about stuff because I was essentially in the dating business and we were like the non-creepy dating guys. Whereas a lot of these other guys, like the pickup guys, they were like, lie to her and tell her you have a Lamborghini and that your ex is a stripper. And I'm like, just tell her that you're new to the city, that you're working really hard and you barely have time to date. This is going to work better than the other crap. Like, that was 2020 hindsight. I bet you that the other lie through your teeth stuff worked really good in the Hollywood clubs and bars. It didn't work in New York, where the women were like all career oriented. They, you know, you tell them you have a Lambo and your girlfriend's a stripper and they're like, you're irresponsible. Don't talk to me. Yep. So we really had a niche that carved out and did well. And we made a lot of money doing that. But, you know, you outgrow dating and relationship advice when you're at that time. You know, I'm 40 now, married with a kid. At the time I started to really outgrow it, I was probably in my early 30s, and I went, how much longer are we going to be talking about this? I can't even stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning anymore, going out 6 nights a week with clients. Like, I can't deal with it. My liver hurts, you know, I'm turning green. So I started to sort of split away from that and turn the Jordan Harbinger Show into the show it is now, where I started interviewing people that I was interested in, and that worked. Yeah,
but when you did make the switch, you didn't have the cleanest of breaks from your former business, and it was a little bit tumultuous. And by a little bit, it was very, you know, it was a bad situation. And so one of the things that I find, you know, fascinating is that, you know, you did such a good job building yourself into the brand that when you actually did decide to go out on your own, it was very quick that you know, developed your following again, got, you know, you skyrocketed up the, you know, the Apple podcast charts, and you found success again. You know, like literally it was immediate. What was the hardest part about that time though, when you were, because I remember I probably still have text messages from around that time that you were like, so, you know, this is kind of what's going on. And it was hard for me, honestly, because, you know, I know how hard you worked, you know, up until this point. And then to think about, you know, something that you really was your baby that you did incredibly well at, to think about, you know, I think about myself. I think about, you know, well, what would happen if I had to start over? What would happen if, you know, it had to become the Aaron Marino, you know, YouTube channel or whatever? How would that go? Do I even have it in me at this point to, you know, start again and try to ascend to the heights again? How did you handle it? What was the hardest part about that time, dude?
I got to tell you, man, everything you're saying it's so funny, because you can tell you run a business. Do I even have it in me? I was thinking, I can't start over. It took me 11 years to build that first brand and that show and that coaching company. How am I going to rebuild? It's going to take me at least 5 years. If I can ever do it again, maybe I can never do it again. And, you know, it's like looking up at a mountain that you were at the top of before, and you're going, I can't even see the peak. How the hell am I going to get back on top where I was? And then you also think, I'm not going to be happy until I'm back there, and then I can start to be happy and rebuild again. This is terrible. What am I going to do? You have to get over that and realize that you're not just rebuilding what you have, but you are doing something different. And it doesn't matter if it's totally different. You know, I built the Jordan Harbinger Show. It's another show. It's exactly the same business niche. Well, it's the same type of media, right? It's a different business. I don't do the coaching anymore or anything. It's a similar business. So it's not that different, but you can't sit there and say, I need to rebuild this whole thing exactly the way it was. You really have to go, okay, I'm bringing with me, what assets am I bringing with me? This is what saved me from like wanting to, like, you know, never get out of bed. It was, what assets am I bringing with me? Okay, I have all my relationships. That's priceless, right? That is priceless. You know, hundreds and hundreds of people. You have a good reputation in the industry. People know your name. They know your content is good. They know that you're an honest person, whatever it is, whatever your reputation is. You have that going for you. That's something that can really never be taken away from you unless you get slandered or something, like somebody makes a website that says you kill puppies or something and everyone believes it. You know, you'd have to have like a really negative reputation hit that now we see with cancel culture can happen. So that's terrifying, but usually doesn't happen to people who aren't involved in anything, you know, super controversial. Although, again, it depends. But for me, it was really tough. There were like 2 weeks where I was upset and I kind of didn't want to get out of bed and I couldn't sleep and I wasn't eating well or much at all. And then I started to really focus on putting one foot in front of the other. It was like I was a blender with the top off. We've all made a protein shake and the top flies off because you think it's going to fucking stay on and it doesn't stay on, right? And it's all over the ceiling. It's all over the floor. That's how I felt. But then when I started to really focus, I was like, aha, The action here is what sort of focuses me and ends my suffering, right? Action ends suffering. So I can be the laser beam where I focus my energy. Like when I'm pissed off and I'm fantasizing about running my old, business partners down with a U-Haul, I just go, well, that's not constructive. Why don't I sit down and email 40 potential guests for the show and get those done? And then why don't I, or I've got so much nervous energy, I can't sleep. Okay, put on an audiobook that you're going to read for the show and do the prep and go out for a walk. Yeah, it's 3 a.m., get a flashlight, wear a high vis vest. You'll be fine. You don't live in Detroit anymore. You'll be all right. So I focused and did a lot of things like that. And during the day when I had a lot of nervous energy or I was feeling crappy, I would call friends and solidify. I mean, I called you during that time. I texted you during that time. I was like, hey, just wanted to tell you what happened. It's a really crappy situation. And you were like, you probably said something really nice because you're a really nice guy. And that kind of thing made me feel better. And I realized that's what made me realize I had all these relationships. Like, your friendships, your relationships with people, and your reputation in your industry, that is the insurance policy that money can't buy, right? You can't get people's help by purchasing. I mean, I guess you can buy their help, but like when you're down and you don't have resources and you don't have the capital that was in your business and you don't know what you're going to do, all you really have is your reputation and your connections. So that's why I always tell people, dig the well before you get thirsty. You have to build relationships before you need them, because if you lose everything or lose a lot like I did, and then you have to rebuild and you realize you don't know anyone and you've neglected everything, then it's too late. Then I'm calling people going, hey, dude, remember me from 2009? And you're like, what? Who is this? Jordan, you were on my blog once. Can you help me out? You'd be like, bro, whatever, click. But since we'd been in touch for, 10 years or whatever it's been, you were like, let me know if I can support you. And I got similar offers from literally hundreds of people that I'd been in touch with over the years. And I was like, this is the power of relationships. Everyone says, dig the well before you're thirsty. Great. Okay, I got it, Jordan. But most of us think, well, I'm never going to be thirsty, so I'll do that later. You have to build relationships before you need them, because when you don't do that and then you need them, that is really when you go, oh crap, I don't know how to call and ask for help. And it feels weird. And the reason it feels weird is because you're not entitled to ask anybody for anything if you haven't cultivated that friendship or that network over time. So when I say like, oh, I started from nothing again, I started from zero again, but I didn't start with nothing, right? It's kind of like saying, it's the difference between going, hey, my little cousin wants to start a business. He's 21. What should he do? That person is going to have a long uphill battle. But if you say, hey, my cousin wants to start a business, he's 31 and he has 10 years of experience, 10 years of relationships, and he knows exactly what he wants to do, more or less, that person has a major, major, major advantage, even if both of them start with $0 and they're trying to figure out where the mortgage payment's coming from.
I absolutely love that. That is really, really, really profound, honestly. And I think that is something, that everybody can pretty much resonate with or take with them. You do teach a course, though. It's 6-minute networking, right?
Yeah.
Is that course 6-minute networking? I am also a huge fan of social skills. The way that I developed mine, or the reason, it was out of necessity. I was, I had a few, my mom was married a few different times. I was moving schools. I knew that if I didn't want to basically be the new kid, I needed to make friends. And so I learned to be a very quick study of body language, of people, and really do a good job with connecting with people very quickly. But a lot of people don't have that skill. They've never had a need to do that. Talk a little bit about some networking sort of tips and tricks. I know that in your course, you give people like 12 different missions that that they need to go out and accomplish in order to build themselves up into better networkers, better, developing better social skills. Talk a little bit about sort of some tips that the audience can take away in terms of how to start the networking process. I interviewed Noah Kagan.
Love that guy. One of my good friends.
He's a super great guy, super smart guy. But one of the things that I took away from him was that whole coffee challenge, right? Where you ask for 10% off, at a coffee shop. And
he does that in real life, and it's so freaking embarrassing when you're out. You're like, dude, what do you make $6 million last year? Can you just pay the 20 cents?
Yeah, but it's all about that fear muscle. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you sort of get in there.
It's true.
And so talk a little bit about your tips in terms of networking, How do you build better relationships? How do you get over the fear of going up, introducing yourself to somebody and starting a communication or a conversation with somebody?
Yeah, I will answer that, but I'm curious. You got me wondering. Since you moved around so much and you were the new guy at so many schools, is that where the whole kind of like Aaron Marino good first impressions thing came from, and some of some of that, because you're like huge on first impressions. Style is an element of that, right?
Well, the other thing was being poor. Throw poor
okay.
and not having money on top of that. And having to shop for all your clothes at thrift stores when you're 12, 13, and you just, I mean, at that age, all you want is to fit in. All you want to do is to be liked. And there's so much pressure back then. There was a lot of pressure. Now I can't even fathom the amount of pressure that people feel, teens feel. I know how much pressure I feel at 44 years old, to try and live up to some arbitrary set of expectations by other people, and what social media is sort of deeming, the way that we should act, the way that we should look and feel, and what we should have in order to, sort of feel and be considered successful. My perception of success has changed very much since getting into, actually since I became successful. My definition of success has changed. But yeah, it was simply a need for acceptance. I didn't have a happy home life, and so you combine, abusive stepfathers with me just wanting to feel good about myself. It was a sort of a necessary evil in order for me not to go crazy at a young age. So that's my story.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wondered about that because I thought, okay, for somebody who's to get really into style and fitness and social skills and first impressions, and to also be like a cool guy, like you strike people right away as like, oh, this guy's like really cool. People who are always really cool, they don't think, how do I maximize this? They never think about it, right? all the guys that were cool in elementary school, high school, they're not like, how do I maximize my style? They're not thinking about that at all. So I was like, what was the turning point for Aaron Marino? Something must have, gone on when he was younger, where he became like the butterfly out of the cocoon at some point. Because otherwise you just don't try that hard because you never had to in the past. So I knew there was something there. For me, I think for creating relationships right now, like walking up to somebody and introducing yourself, that is a useful skill. It does just take practice, and there's a lot to that. But now, especially during COVID, when a lot of people can't actually go out and do anything, and also for the people that just go, man, that sounds terrible. I don't want to go out and meet people. I don't want to go to bars and mixers and things like that. What I do, one of the drills that's in 6 Minute Networking, which by the way is a free course, so people can go and take it. You don't have to enter your credit card number or anything. There's no upsell. I just do it because I teach a lot of students and companies this, and I thought like, okay, I can just make this public. So that's at jordanharbinger.com/course. What I do every day, I grab my phone and I scroll all the way to the bottom of the text messages in the morning. Not like first thing, because you don't want to get people at 6 a.m. or anything, but I scroll all the way to the bottom. And at the bottom, those are those threads that are kind of dead, right? Like, oh, I haven't texted Aaron Marino since we had lunch in San Diego in 2017. Let me see what he's up to. And I call it Connect 4 because I do it with probably about 3-4 people every day, every weekday. And I send them something that says like, hey, Aaron, you got to use their name. Because if it's like, hey, friend, people are like, delete mass text, right? You can see that with email. Hey, Aaron, what's going on? It's been a long time since we met at, and you tell them where you met so they can go like, oh, right, that guy, right? Because you don't want new phone who dis. And then you sign it with your name at the end, but you could say like, here's my update. I got a kid. He's walking around a lot. It's fun. Been a long time since we had lunch at Cafe Gratitude in San Diego, whatever it was, wondering how you're doing. That will re-engage a lot of people every week. You won't get 100% response rate. You might get like half or 3/4 response rate. Imagine you text 4 people a day, 5 days a week. That's 20 people, 80 people a month, right? 20 people a week, 80 people a month. Let's say half respond. Great. You've got 40 people who weren't thinking about you, may never have thought about you ever again in their entire lives. Now you're top of mind. You know what they're doing. They know what you're doing. And it doesn't do a whole lot right away, but it compounds. Over time, not a day goes by where I don't get a text that says, hey, Jordan, thanks for chatting with me a couple weeks ago. By the way, I'm walking into a meeting right now, I'm going into a Zoom meeting right now. We're going to pick a keynote speaker for our sales, our quarterly sales thing. Do you do speaking gigs? Our budget is, $20,000. I just got a speaking gig because I texted somebody to see how they were doing. And the last I talked to them, they bought a tractor or something. Like, I don't have any reason to reach out other than just so. So now I'm top of mind on them. And often, rather than getting a speaking gig or something like that, I might say like, oh, what are you up to? Oh, I'm starting a new business. Great. What's it all about? Oh, we're looking for a web designer. I know a web designer. Let me refer that person to you. And they're like, wow, that's really great. Thanks. So now they get a good web designer. My web designer's stoked because he got a new client. And I'm able to create social capital and referral currency by introducing people inside my own network. A lot of people say, oh, I don't know anyone important, or, oh, I can't help anyone. I'm just in college, or I'm 2 years out of college. What am I going to do? You don't have to help people yourself by doing graphic design. I don't have to design the website myself. I just have to be useful enough as a node in the network to connect two people that can help one another. And that makes it scalable. I could make 10 introductions a day before it even takes real time out of my day. If you're making 10 intros a day, you have a ton of people that want to help you back because of reciprocity. You've got a ton of people that think you're great and giving and nice and generous. That's how you build referral currency and social capital over time. You don't have to go out and be a social butterfly at the wine mixer or the country club and glad hand everybody and kiss babies. You can do it from your phone. And in addition to the Connect 4 drill, I've got CRMs where I put people's names essentially in a glorified spreadsheet, and it reminds me if I haven't talked with them for, say, 90 days, something along those lines. So I'm keeping in touch with hundreds or even thousands of people, and it doesn't feel like work at all. Wow. I'm not emailing 400 people in a weekend. I'm not killing myself over any particular kind of task list. I'm just doing this in time that most of us would probably waste on Instagram, right? We'd be scrolling through the feed, but instead I send those 4 texts. I'd be scrolling through the feed. Instead, I work in my CRM, something like that.
Wonderful. Okay, guys, we're going to link to everything down below. It's at jordanharbinger.com/course. Courses, right?
/course. Yep, jordanharbinger.com/course.
All right, so we got a few more minutes, Jordan. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I want to talk real quick about the guests that you have had. You've had some of the most, amazing guests. Who has been the most fascinating to you? Could you pick one, or maybe there are two in different arenas or areas or for different reasons? Who has really fascinated you specifically?
Let's see. There's so many good ones. One that I really liked was this guy. His name is Jack Barsky. He's not famous, but he was a KGB agent that came to the United States, and he was pretending to be American, and there were a bunch of these guys, apparently. He was pretending to be American, and they made a TV show that's loosely based on it called The Americans, which is awesome. And he snuck in, he got a job, he got married, he had a kid,
Nobody knew.
And nobody knew. And then he eventually was like, I really like it here. I'm not going home. So when the Soviet Union said, hey, you got to come home, he said, nah, I'm not going to go back. And he stayed. And the reason he got caught was he got in a fight with his wife once. And somehow it came out because she's like, what are you doing in the back room or whatever? Like, oh, you keep telling me these secrets. And, why don't you do this? And he's like, look,
I'm KGB, bitch.
I'm a KGB agent. Yeah, KGB, bitch. So the FBI happens to be listening because they have suspicions that he's a KGB agent. I guess a defector ratted him out and said, there's a guy, he looks like this and he's trained to do that. And he worked in insurance, and they found him. So they arrested him. And this guy has so many, speaking of people skills, he's such an interesting, charming dude. He works with the FBI, does whatever it is they need him to do. Now, the godfather of his new daughter is that FBI agent, and they play golf like every week. And he lives in America, and he's an American, a real one now. And he never went back home. Yeah.
Who have you been starstruck by? Anybody? After doing and meeting so many famous people, or talking to them, do you get starstruck? And if so, by who?
Let me think on this. Starstruck. Not really. I don't really get starstruck not because like, oh, they're just another celebrity to me. That, I definitely get nervous about interviews, but it's not because it's Russell Brand or Kobe Bryant or some billionaire, Ray Dalio, whatever. I get nervous because, hold on one second. My wife's trying to move a box and it's so distracting because she's trying to be quiet.
No, do it.
Jed, just get the box out of here. She's like sneaking around. It's hilarious. She's like doing the Catherine Zeta-Jones thing, like trying to dodge the lasers. That was going to take 15 minutes if I didn't let her just walk out with the box. Okay. So when I do get nervous, it's never because it's Russell Brand or Kobe Bryant or something like that. I get nervous because I want the logistics to work out. Oh man, the lighting's bad in here. And we didn't bring our big lights because we thought there'd be better lighting because we were supposed to be doing this outside. Uh-oh, the batteries are dead. I thought these were charged. We checked them. They were charged. They were labeled charged. You know, like that's the stuff that makes me nervous and anxious. Stuff that honestly production people should be worried about. But when you run your own business, you know how it is. So I don't get starstruck to make me nervous. I get nervous about the logistics of something. And by the time I'm meeting Kobe Bryant or Russell Brand or, you know, Howie Mandel, I've done like 10 to 15 hours of prep because I do like 10, 20 hours of prep for each guest. So by the time I've got the director of the CIA or Kobe Bryant or Jeremy Lin or whatever on the show, I've done so much prep that I'm excited to be there. I'm interested to be there, but I know that I've earned my seat in the room. And also I'm kind of like in the last 2% of my job or the last 10% of my job. Like, yes, it's game time, but it's like an athlete playing in a game. You're probably, you go to practice so much that by the time you get to the game, you're not like, oh, I hope I remember how to kick the ball really hard and far and accurately. You know, you're just doing what you've been drilled to do over and over and over again. You know, you're thinking in the moment. And there are days I really get into flow with it. Like I'll go to New York and do like 3 interviews a day or 2 interviews a day. And my wife will go, how was your day? And I'll go, what did I do today? And she's like, you interviewed this celebrity, this scientist, and then you went and did this. And I go, oh, right. Because I'm like, it's a blur. You know, by the time I'm out of the Russell Brand interview at NBC or whatever, I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess we just did that. How did it go? I don't even remember 1 second of it. You know, like I remember it, but it's almost like a dream. You know, like it's probably how athletes feel after a game. They remember every play when they really want to, but the overall idea of it is that it just kind of happened and that it's over. That's at least where I'm at with it.
I love it.
Does that make sense?
Right, so it makes 100% sense. Last question is for entrepreneurs out there. You're an entrepreneur. Yeah. You've done a lot of different things. You've tried some things. What is your biggest failure? Actually, I'm going to have 2 questions now because I want to talk real quick. Failure, I think, is important. I think it's part of everybody's journey. Anybody who's successful has had monumental failures, or at least, you know, some degree of having to not start over, but they've fucked it up. And so what has been your, would you say, biggest fuck up looking back?
In business or in like my law career? I guess there's a couple things. Like when I first started my law career, I worked at a British law firm and they just hated me. They hated me. You know, I was worried that I wasn't going to be employable. And it really made me look at alternatives like entrepreneurship. Luckily, or unluckily, well, I guess it was lucky. Since they really hated me, I really thought I'm never going to be employable. And I went through a lot of stress with that. But it turns out that I wasn't employable in a British law firm, which is like a really stuffy work environment. And things I got in trouble for, I thought, oh my God, I'm screwed in the working world. One thing I got in trouble for, Aaron, was a partner was in the elevator on like a Friday. And he said, oh, do you have many things planned this weekend? And I said, yeah, you know, I'm going to go probably downtown and like explore London a little bit and da-da-da. And I said, what about you? And he goes, oh, well, I'm going to go to my fishing cabin. And I was like, great. Monday morning, they're like, did you ask Mr. Crawford what his plans were over the weekend? And I was like, yeah, he asked me first. And they're like, that man has worked very hard to get where he is. And I'm like, so we can't treat him like a human being? And they were like, yeah, you're not supposed to engage him. He's being friendly. You don't get to talk with him informally. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so screwed in the working world if people are really like this. I had no idea. Then, of course, I get to Wall Street and I'm working with a bunch of like local Brooklyn Italian guys. And they're like, hey, Jordan, get over here. The fucking pizza's getting cold. What's wrong with you? Get in here. And I'm like, this is more like it. Okay, I can handle this. You know,
Yep.
That's more like it. So but it was kind of too late for me. I was just already like, I had one foot out the door and was like, I need to find something that I can do because if I'm getting in trouble for small talk in the elevator, I'm so screwed, man. I'm screwed.
And then what about outside of the law?
Of career?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, failure. Oh man, it's I've had some smaller failures, one of which was just like some kind of bungle. I've been in North Korea a few times, right? And I started a travel company that takes Westerners to North Korea. And it was a pain to set up, but we got it going. We had a travel partner in China that was run by Brits. We brought a bunch of people on tours. We had a lot of fun doing it. And then like 1 year in, it became illegal to travel to North Korea. Maybe it was 2 years in. And we were like, oh. And the Treasury Department was like, hey, all that money you got in there, we're going to have to hold on to that for a while because probably there's some sanctions violations. Luckily, we had just withdrawn a bunch of the money and we like lost a couple $1,000, but you never get your money back when it gets seized by Treasury. You have to go to court and get it back. And what are we going to do? Be like, no, at the time it was legal for us to send money. We're not sending it to North Korea. We're sending people to North Korea. And we're just like, we're not going to win this. We're going to spend $100,000 litigating it. We're going to get $13,000 back.
No,
like what the hell?
We're trafficking people.
Yes, we're trafficking people.
Last question.
I mean, tourists.
Best business piece of advice for aspiring entrepreneurs out there that are looking to basically do their own business or do their own thing. What would you give them? I'm
going to say, dig the well before you get thirsty. What a lot of entrepreneurs do is they do this. They go, well, all right, I've got this. I got to build a website. I got to build my lead gen channel. So I'm doing the YouTube thing like Aaron Marino, or I'm doing the podcast thing like Jordan Harbinger. Then I got to do social media. And then I've got to like get my product line together. And then I want to expand into hair care from skincare, whatever it is. But so that you got 100 things to do, right? 99 of them, you kind of know how to do it. You don't necessarily know, but you kind of know. And then one, networking and relationship development. You don't really necessarily know because you're not doing 6-minute networking and you don't have a plan. And then you think, well, I do a lot of this naturally, which you don't. You don't have systems. Anybody who has systems is going to beat you, right? And you just think you're doing it naturally. It's not true. It's like fitness. If I just go to the gym and I just do whatever I feel like, I'm going to do bench today. I guess I'll do some pull-ups. Somebody who has a workout plan is going to do their results are going to be 10x, minimum 10x what I'm getting just wandering around. That's the same thing with relationship building. So the problem is when we have 100 things to do and 99 of them are interesting and they're social media and we have a plan and we can kind of do it and we know what we're doing, we deprioritize the stuff we don't know about as much. So we deprioritize digging the well before you get thirsty or building relationships. And what happens is, since it's a black box, we just never do it. And then you run into this thing where you're like, I'm going to launch my line now. I'm going to launch this. And you go, who do I reach out to? And you reach out to 50 people and they're like, who are you again? Why would I help? Oh, hey man, no, why would I help you? I have my own thing going. You've never helped me. I reached out to you 3 months ago. You never replied. Oh, I was busy. Okay, well, I'm busy now. You're going to find that and you go, oh crap, I didn't dig the well. So don't deprioritize networking. Don't say you'll do that when you have your prototype, when you have your website, when you've got your business cards. That's backwards. You build your relationships before everything. You start that process now because you can't make up for lost time. It's impossible. There's no way to become a close and trusted source of somebody over 3 days. You can't get closer to somebody in 3 days than you could in 3 years. It's not possible, right? So you have to start early and you have to do it with everyone because once you need these relationships, if they're not in place, I mean, think about this. Who would you rather trust? Somebody who calls you out of the blue and says like, hey, I need help with something, or somebody that you've known for 3 years, even though you've talked to them once every 6 months on text? You're going to pick the person who you've talked to before because you know that their agenda initially wasn't just to butter you up. If I start calling people and I'm talking to them and they haven't heard from me in 8 years, what are they thinking? Okay, they're thinking Herbalife or Scientology. What are you trying to sell me?
When's the ask? When's the ask?
When's the other shoe going to drop? But if I ask you for a favor and I've been talking to you every 6-8 months for 3 years, you're not going to go, aha, you've been buttering me up since 2015 just so I'll help you with your book launch, you bastard. That's an unreasonable thing. That's an unreasonable conclusion. So dig the well before you get thirsty. Don't deprioritize it. Build those relationships now before you need them, and then they'll be there for you when you do.
Jordan, where can people find you?
Sure. The Jordan Harbinger Show. It's a podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. There's some on YouTube, not all. But I'd love it if people checked out the Jordan Harbinger Show. The course is at jordanharbinger.com/course. And I'm at Jordan Harbinger on Twitter, Instagram, and I answer all my DMs, so people can just hit me up.
And Jordan, this was amazing. I really enjoyed hearing your story, and the amount of value and just insight is remarkable. And once again, I just appreciate you sliding into my DMs or my texts,
For sure.
and continuing to, cultivate this relationship. I mean, because literally what you're saying is exactly sort of how we have remained, friends over the years. And it's funny because even though I had never physically met you, I'd do anything for you in terms of.
Have we not ever met?
We've never met. No.
What?
And so, yeah.
I don't even, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Wow.
And so, no, but that's just the power, to a testament to what you're saying is that, when we first connected, it wasn't because you needed anything. It wasn't because you wanted anything. It was simply to connect. And over the years, it's just been really exciting to watch you grow. I'm really, really impressed at how you have basically come out the other side of a bad situation and are not only at the top of that mountain, but you're summiting another. So congratulations, sir. And thank you so much for everything and the value that you bring to the world. And really, I mean, you've made me think in this interview, and I'm just happy that your mission has landed squarely in my head. And so thank you so much for everything, Jordan.
You got it, man. Hey, thank you very much. Always good to see you. Good to hear from you. And I can't believe we haven't met. I'm trying to think, wait, that can't be true.
It's true. But
unbelievable.
I know, it's so crazy. Well, listen, man, everybody, we're going to link to everything down below. Continued success, sir. And I'll expect a text in about 4 months.
You know it.
See you, Jordan. Bye-bye.
Thanks.